Si te complazco esta noche, me harás tuya para siempre. Secreto de una joven apache. The air was cool and crisp, carrying with it the faint scent of sage and wild grass. She stretched and looked out over the hills that rolled endlessly into the horizon, each one holding memories of her childhood. To anyone else, it might have looked like a quiet, almost ordinary place, but to Isla it was home, a place filled with stories, struggles, and secrets. Her family's small home sat near the edge of the reservation, a simple structure built with wood and stone. Inside, the walls were lined with photographs of ancestors, snapshots of life that connected the past to the present. Isla's mother, a strong and quiet woman, was already in the kitchen preparing breakfast. The aroma of cornmeal and roasted coffee filled the room. Isla's younger brother, little Miguel, was still half asleep, rubbing his eyes as he shuffled to the table. Life on the reservation was not easy. Jobs were scarce, and many families struggled to make ends meet. Yet despite the hardships, the community thrived in ways outsiders could not fully understand. There were festivals, dances, and gatherings that celebrated Apache culture, and in these moments, Isla felt a deep sense of pride and belonging. But at the same time, she felt the weight of responsibility pressing on her young shoulders. Her parents often reminded her of the importance of family, tradition, and maintaining the honor of their lineage. As she sat down to eat, Isla thought about the day ahead. She had chores to complete, errands to run, and most importantly, school to attend. Even though the school was small and resources were limited, Isla valued her education. She had dreams that stretched far beyond the boundaries of the reservation, dreams of seeing the world and creating a life of her own. But for now, those dreams felt distant, like the mountains on the horizon, visible, yet unreachable. After breakfast, Isla stepped outside, taking a deep breath of the morning air. The sun was climbing higher and the warmth began to touch her skin. She walked along the narrow dirt path that led through the heart of the reservation, passing neighbors who greeted her with smiles and nods. Everyone knew everyone here, and life moved slowly, punctuated by the rhythms of nature and community. She waved to Mrs. Yazzie, who was tending to her small garden, and nodded to the boys playing near the creek. Even in the simple, everyday moments, Isla felt the pulse of life around her. Despite the outward calm, there was a restlessness inside her. Isla often found herself questioning the path set before her. She loved her family and her community deeply, but she also felt confined by the expectations and traditions that defined her. Her heart longed for something more, something beyond the boundaries of the land she had known all her life. She wanted to experience life fully, to discover herself, and to find a love that resonated with her soul. Yet she knew that these desires could be dangerous to express, especially in a community that held its traditions close and its secrets even closer. School was a short walk from her home, and Isla moved quickly, eager to escape the confines of routine for a few hours. The building was small but welcoming, with murals on the walls that told stories of Apache history and legends. Teachers worked tirelessly, often with limited resources, to give the students a chance at a brighter future. Isla enjoyed her classes, particularly literature and history, subjects that allowed her to explore ideas beyond her own experiences. She loved reading about people from other times and places, imagining what it would be like to live their lives. In those moments, she felt a spark of possibility, a reminder that the world was bigger than the hills surrounding her home. Yet, not everything at school was easy. Some students struggled with the same pressures Isla felt at home: poverty, family responsibilities, and the weight of expectations. Isla often found herself mediating conflicts between friends or helping those who needed support. She had a natural empathy, an understanding that everyone carried their own burdens, even if they didn't show them. This empathy made her close to many of her peers, yet it also left her feeling alone in her own struggles. She carried secrets she could not share, fears she could not voice, and dreams that seemed too fragile to reveal. After school, Isla returned home, walking slowly as the sun began its descent. The shadows stretched long across the earth, and the sky turned shades of orange and pink. She paused near the creek, listening to the gentle rush of water over stones. It was a place she often came to think, a place where she could be alone with her thoughts. She watched as birds flitted across the water, their wings catching the last light of the day. In moments like these, she felt a connection to something greater than herself, a reminder that life, despite its challenges, was beautiful and worth embracing. Evenings on the reservation were quiet but not silent. The sounds of laughter, conversation, and music often drifted through the air. Families gathered for meals, shared stories, and supported one another. Isla's family was no different. They sat together, talking about the day's events, sharing small victories and minor frustrations. Her father spoke about his work repairing houses and helping neighbors, his hands rough but his heart kind. Her mother encouraged Isla to continue her studies, to be proud of who she was and where she came from. Yet beneath the surface, Isla felt a growing tension. She knew that life on the reservation was limited in many ways, and that the outside world held opportunities she could barely imagine. She felt torn between her loyalty to her family and her desire to explore her own path. There was a part of her that longed for adventure, for freedom, and for a love that went beyond friendship and familial bonds. But expressing such desires was risky, for she had seen how quickly misunderstandings could arise, how easily expectations could crush even the strongest spirits. That night, as the stars appeared in the clear desert sky, Isla lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about the future. She wondered what it would be like to travel, to meet people who lived differently, to experience the world beyond her small corner of it. She thought about the stories her grandmother had told her, stories of courage, resilience, and love. She realized that those stories were not just tales of the past, they were lessons for the present, guiding her toward the choices she would have to make. Isla knew that the path ahead would not be easy. She would face challenges, doubts, and fears, and there would be moments when the world seemed too heavy to bear. But in her heart, she felt a spark of hope, a determination to hold on to her dreams while remaining true to herself. The life she had known so far had shaped her, but it did not define her. She understood that she had the power to shape her own future, to take risks, and to pursue what mattered most to her. As sleep finally came, Isla felt a quiet resolve settle within her. The reservation was her home, her roots, and her community, but beyond it lay a world full of possibilities. She was young, strong, and brave, and although she did not yet know what the future held, she was ready to face it with courage. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new lessons, and perhaps new connections that could change her life forever. And for now, she allowed herself to dream, to hope, and to imagine all the ways her story might unfold. The morning air was cool, carrying the scent of pine and earth as Isla walked toward the small community center where a tribal gathering was taking place. It was one of the rare occasions when families from nearby Apache communities came together, sharing food, stories, and laughter. Isla loved these gatherings. They were vibrant, alive with music and dancing, and they gave her a sense of connection to something bigger than herself. But today, her heart carried a mixture of excitement and nervousness, for she had heard that Tayan, a young man from another community, would be attending. Tayan had a reputation that traveled far beyond his village. He was known for his kindness, his laughter, and his ability to make those around him feel seen. Isla had met him briefly at past events, but never in a quiet moment. She wondered what it would be like to speak with him alone, to share a conversation that wasn't rushed by the noise of a crowd. Her thoughts swirled with anticipation and anxiety as she walked, her fingers brushing against the beaded bracelets she always wore for comfort. When she arrived, the center was alive with activity. Children ran around chasing each other, their laughter echoing across the open space. Elders sat in circles, exchanging stories and advice. Women were preparing food, their hands skillful as they shaped traditional dishes, the aromas mingling with the crisp air. The rhythmic beat of drums and soft singing filled the background, a reminder of the deep cultural roots that connected everyone present. Isla felt a familiar warmth in her chest, a mixture of pride and belonging, but also a quiet longing for something beyond the festivities. Then she saw him. Tayan stood near the edge of the gathering, talking with a few friends, his eyes scanning the crowd. When their gazes met, Isla felt a sudden flutter in her stomach. It was a simple look, nothing dramatic, yet it carried a weight she could not explain. Tayan smiled briefly, a gentle acknowledgement that sent a spark through her. She took a deep breath, steadying herself, and moved closer, her heart racing with a mixture of curiosity and courage. "Hi, Isla," Tayan said, his voice calm and welcoming. There was a sincerity in his tone that made her feel instantly at ease. "Hi, Tayan," she replied, her voice a little higher than she intended. She could feel her cheeks warming, a mix of embarrassment and excitement. They began to walk together along the edge of the gathering, away from the main crowd, where the sound of drums was softer and the conversation easier. They talked about small things at first: school, family, and the recent events in their communities. Tayan listened intently, asking questions that made Isla feel understood. There was a patience in him, a gentle interest that made her feel safe to share her thoughts. She realized quickly that she could speak freely around him, that her words mattered, and that her feelings would not be dismissed or judged. For the first time in a long while, Isla felt truly seen. As the afternoon passed, their conversation deepened. They spoke of dreams and fears, of hopes for the future and the weight of tradition. Tayan shared stories of his own life, the struggles of growing up in a small community, and the pressure to honor family expectations. Isla listened, her empathy growing with every word. She realized that he carried burdens similar to her own, yet he faced them with a quiet strength that she admired. At one point, Tayan suggested they walk to a small hill overlooking the reservation. From there, the view was breathtaking. The sun cast long shadows across the land, the mountains in the distance glowing in shades of orange and gold. Isla felt a sense of awe and freedom, as if the vastness of the landscape mirrored the possibilities in her life. They stood in silence for a moment, letting the quiet of the land speak to them. Tayan's hand brushed against hers accidentally, and neither pulled away. Instead, they both felt a connection, an unspoken understanding growing between them. "You have a way of seeing things," Tayan said softly. "Most people just walk by without noticing the beauty around them." Isla smiled a little shyly. "I guess I've had to learn to notice. There's so much here that people miss if they're too busy worrying." Their conversation turned to more personal topics. Isla found herself revealing thoughts she had never spoken aloud. Her desire to explore the world, her longing for independence, and the quiet struggles she faced living within the expectations of her community. Tayan listened with care, never interrupting, never judging. He shared some of his own fears too, about living up to family expectations and finding a place where he truly belonged. As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, painting the horizon in shades of pink and purple, they made their way back to the gathering. The air had cooled, and the sounds of music and laughter grew louder as people prepared for the evening dance. Yet, despite the noise, Isla felt a sense of calm. She had shared pieces of herself she had never revealed to anyone, and Tayan had met her honesty with understanding. Throughout the evening, they remained close, dancing in the circle with friends and family, their movements in sync without needing to speak. There was a gentle joy in their connection, a feeling of ease and belonging that neither had expected. Others noticed the bond forming between them, offering smiles and quiet encouragement, but it was their private understanding that mattered most. After the dance ended, Tan and Isla walked a little distance away from the crowd, beneath the canopy of stars that filled the night sky. The world felt quiet and infinite, a vast space where possibilities seemed endless. Tan turned to her, his eyes reflecting the light of the moon. "You're different, Isla," he said softly. "You think deeply, you feel deeply, and you care. It's rare." Isla's heart beat faster. She wanted to respond, to tell him how she felt, but she hesitated. There was a part of her that feared rejection, that feared that her emotions were too intense or too complicated. Yet, looking into his eyes, she felt a courage she had never known before. For the first time, she felt the stirrings of a new kind of love, not just attraction, but connection built on understanding, respect, and shared experience. She realized that Tan was someone who could see all parts of her, the strong, independent parts and the fragile, uncertain parts, and accept them without judgment. As they walked back toward their families, side by side under the cool night sky, Isla felt a mix of excitement and fear. She knew that her feelings for Tan would not be simple. Love in their community was intertwined with expectations, history, and responsibility. But she also knew that some connections were worth the risk, worth the courage it took to follow her heart. That night, lying in bed, Isla replayed every word, every glance, every moment she had shared with Tan. She felt a quiet joy, a warmth that spread through her chest, but also an awareness that her secret thoughts and desires were growing more complex. She wondered if Tan could truly understand her fully, if he could accept everything she carried inside. And yet, she also realized that the first step had been taken. They had met, they had connected, and a bond had begun to form that could change both of their lives forever. The days following the gathering were filled with anticipation. Every glance across the reservation, every small gesture or smile from Tan, made Isla's heart flutter. She began to see possibilities she had never imagined, a friendship that could become love, a partnership built on trust, and a shared journey that went beyond the boundaries of their small communities. The world felt bigger, brighter, and full of promise. And through it all, Isla carried a secret within her, a thought she had not yet shared with anyone. It was a private feeling, delicate and fragile, one that she both longed to reveal and feared could change everything. She knew that soon, she would have to confront her emotions fully, to trust Tan with the deepest parts of herself, and to see if their connection could withstand honesty and vulnerability. But for now, she allowed herself to enjoy the moments of closeness, the laughter, and the unspoken understanding that had begun to grow between them. The bond between Isla and Tan was not built on grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It was rooted in the small, meaningful interactions, the way he listened, the way she felt safe speaking her mind, the shared silences that spoke louder than words. In these moments, Isla discovered the beauty of connection, the power of empathy, and the quiet strength that came from being truly known by another person. As the moon rose high over the reservation, casting silver light across the land, Isla whispered softly to herself, "This is just the beginning." She knew that life would bring challenges, that love was rarely simple, and that her journey was only starting. Yet in that moment, she felt hope, courage, and a deep excitement for the story that was unfolding. A story that would teach her about trust, vulnerability, and the unexpected ways the heart could guide her toward a future she had only dreamed of. The weeks after the gathering passed quickly, and Isla found herself thinking about Tan more often than she cared to admit. Their friendship had grown naturally, with small meetings at the edge of the reservation, shared walks along the dusty paths, and quiet conversations under the shade of old oak trees. Each interaction brought a mix of excitement and nervousness, a feeling that she had never experienced before. Tan had become a part of her world, and she realized that she wanted him to be more than just a friend, But with that desire came a growing unease. Isla knew that her feelings were complicated, not just by her own uncertainty, but also by the expectations of her family and community. Love in the reservation was never just a matter of the heart. It was intertwined with tradition, responsibility, and the careful balance of honor and respect. Many of her friends had experienced heartbreak or disapproval when their families did not agree with their choices, and Isla feared the same for herself. Despite the worries, the connection between her and Tayan continued to deepen. They spent hours talking about their dreams, their fears, and the pressures they felt from their families. Tayan often shared stories of his own struggles, revealing the quiet battles he faced to honor his parents while pursuing his own path. Isla listened closely, feeling a kinship in their shared experiences. There was a comfort in knowing that someone else understood the weight of expectation and the desire to break free from it. One afternoon, as the sun shone brightly over the hills, Isla and Tayan found themselves sitting beside the creek, their feet dangling in the cool water. The gentle rush of the stream was soothing, and the air was filled with the sweet smell of wildflowers. They spoke little at first, simply enjoying each other's presence. Then Tayan turned to her, his eyes thoughtful. "Isla," he began softly, "do you ever feel like there's more to life than this? Like there's something waiting for us out there that we haven't seen yet?" Isla nodded slowly, feeling the same longing he expressed. "All the time," she admitted. "Sometimes it feels like I'm trapped between what I'm supposed to do and what I want for myself. I love my family and my community, but there's a part of me that wants to see the world, to experience life in ways that feel impossible here." Tayan reached out, taking her hand in his. "I feel the same way," he said. "I've always dreamed of exploring beyond the hills, of finding a life where I can be myself without worrying about judgment. But it's hard. There's so much pressure to follow the path that's expected of us." They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared feelings settling between them. There was a sense of understanding, a bond that went beyond words, and yet there was also a fear. Each knew that expressing these thoughts fully could change everything. Secrets, unspoken rules, and family expectations lingered in the background, like shadows they could not ignore. As the days passed, the tension grew. Isla found herself torn between her growing love for Tayan and the fear of revealing her deepest thoughts. She wanted to be honest, to share everything with him, but she worried that doing so might push him away or cause problems with their families. The idea of hiding her true feelings felt wrong, yet the idea of exposing them felt dangerous. It was a delicate balance, one that left her restless at night. One evening, Tayan invited her to walk along the ridge that overlooked the valley. The sky was painted in shades of orange and purple as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the land. They walked side by side, talking about school, community events, and small daily joys. But beneath the surface, both of them were aware of the unspoken questions that lingered between them, questions about love, trust, and the choices they would eventually have to make. "Isla," Tayan said finally, stopping to look at her, "I feel like we're closer than we should be, but at the same time I can't help how I feel. You mean a lot to me." Isla's heart raced, and she felt a mixture of happiness and fear. She wanted to tell him how much she cared, to reveal the feelings she had kept hidden, but words seemed to fail her. She took a deep breath, forcing herself to stay calm. "I feel the same, Tayan," she said softly, "but there are things I haven't told anyone. Things I'm not sure I'm ready to share yet. I hope you can understand." Tayan nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "I understand," he said, "and I want you to know that whatever it is, you can trust me. I don't want to push you, I just want to be here for you." The reassurance gave Isla a small sense of relief, but the tension inside her remained. She knew that eventually she would have to confront her fears and share her secret. The longer she waited, the more complicated things could become. Yet she also knew that rushing into it could be equally dangerous. Love, she realized, was not just about desire. It was about patience, understanding, and trust. In the following days, their friendship continued to blossom. They laughed together, shared meals, and supported each other through small challenges. Tayan's presence became a source of comfort for Isla, a reminder that she was not alone in her struggles. At the same time, the secret she carried grew heavier in her heart, a quiet weight that she could not ignore. She wondered if the truth would strengthen their bond or shatter it entirely. One afternoon, while helping Tayan repair a fence for his family, Isla felt a surge of courage. The physical work, the sun on her back, and the simple rhythm of activity gave her clarity. She realized that hiding her feelings was not sustainable. The connection she shared with Tayan was too important to risk losing over fear. Yet, even as she resolved to speak, she knew that choosing the right moment would be critical. Timing, she understood, could make all the difference. That evening, Isla returned home, her mind restless with thoughts of Tayan. She walked slowly through the quiet streets of the reservation, the fading light casting long shadows across the ground. She thought about her family, her friends, and the expectations that weighed on her. She also thought about the spark she felt with Tayan, the way he made her feel seen and understood. It was a feeling unlike anything she had experienced, a mixture of hope, fear, and longing that left her both exhilarated and anxious. As night fell, Isla lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She replayed the moments she had shared with Tayan, the walks, the laughter, the quiet conversations under the trees. Each memory brought a warmth to her heart, but also a reminder of the uncertainty that lay ahead. She knew that the path she was considering would not be easy. Love, she realized, required not just feeling but courage, honesty, and the willingness to face challenges together. In the days that followed, Isla began to notice small changes in herself. She felt more confident, more aware of her own desires, and more willing to embrace vulnerability. At the same time, she also felt the pressure of her secret growing. There were moments when she longed to speak freely, to let Tayan into every corner of her heart, but she held back, knowing that some truths required careful thought and courage. The bond between them was now undeniable. Tayan's gentle patience and understanding had given Isla the strength to consider sharing her secret, yet the fear of consequences lingered. She realized that love was not just about connection. It was about trust, honesty, and the willingness to confront the unknown. And she knew that soon, a moment would come when she would have to make a choice, to remain silent or to reveal the truth, risking everything for the possibility of a deeper connection. As the sun set over the hills, casting a golden glow over the reservation, Isla felt a mixture of anticipation and fear. She understood that the journey ahead would test her courage, her patience, and her understanding of love. But she also knew that the connection she shared with Tayan was worth the risk. In her heart, she felt a quiet determination to face the challenges ahead, to embrace the vulnerability that came with trust, and to see where her heart might lead her. And so, as the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Isla allowed herself a moment of hope. She imagined a future where honesty and love could coexist, where trust could overcome fear, and where she and Tayan could navigate the complexities of their feelings together. The road ahead would not be easy, but for the first time, she felt ready to face it, knowing that the bond they shared was strong enough to carry them through whatever challenges might come. The weeks that followed were filled with moments that felt both ordinary and extraordinary. Isla and Tayan continued to spend time together, sharing laughter, stories, and small adventures across the reservation. Each meeting strengthened the bond between them, yet the weight of the unspoken secret in Isla's heart grew heavier. She knew that the time was coming when she would have to reveal her deepest thoughts, but fear made her hesitant. She worried about how Tayan would respond, whether their connection could survive honesty, and if her world would change forever. One afternoon, Tayan invited Isla to accompany him on a walk beyond the familiar paths of the reservation, toward a quiet canyon he often visited alone. It was a place he described as peaceful, untouched, and full of beauty, a place where thoughts could be clearer and hearts could feel lighter. Isla agreed, sensing that this might be the moment to take the step she had been delaying. The sun shone warmly, and the wind carried the scent of pine and sage as they walked side by side, their steps in rhythm with each other. When they arrived at the canyon, Tayan paused at the edge of a small plateau overlooking a narrow stream that twisted through the valley below. The water glimmered in the sunlight, and the surrounding rocks reflected shades of gold and red. They stood in silence for a while, taking in the view. The canyon seemed to stretch infinitely, a reminder that the world was larger than the life they had known. Finally, Tayan spoke, breaking the silence. "I feel like we've been walking on the edge of something important, Isla. I don't know exactly what it is, but I can feel it, and I want to be part of it with you." Isla's heart raced. She knew this was the moment she had been preparing for, the moment to speak her truth. She took a deep breath, feeling the wind brush against her face, and turned to him. Her voice was soft but steady. "Tayan, there's something I need to tell you," she began. "Something I've kept inside for a long time. It's not easy for me to say, but I trust you and I hope you'll understand." Tayan's eyes met hers, filled with patience and curiosity. He nodded gently, silently urging her to continue. Isla swallowed, gathering courage. "I've always felt torn between what's expected of me and what I want for myself. I love my family and I honor our traditions, but I also have dreams that go beyond this place. Dreams of experiencing life in my own way, of discovering who I really am. And there's more. I care about you deeply, more than I've cared about anyone, but I've been afraid that sharing this would change everything between us." For a moment, there was only silence. The wind whispered through the canyon, carrying their words into the vast space around them. Tayan reached out and gently took her hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Isla," he said softly, "thank you for trusting me with your truth. I can't imagine how hard it must have been to keep this inside. But I want you to know that I care about you too, and I'm willing to face whatever comes with honesty and patience." Tears welled up in Isla's eyes, not from sadness, but from relief and overwhelming emotion. She felt a weight lift from her shoulders, replaced by a sense of hope and connection she had longed for. For the first time, she realized that sharing her secret did not destroy her bond with Tayan, it strengthened it. They sat together on the edge of the plateau, talking for hours. They discussed their dreams, fears, and desires in ways they never had before. Tayan shared stories of his childhood, the moments when he had felt pressure to conform, and the quiet rebellions he had undertaken to honor himself while respecting his family. Isla listened with empathy and admiration, feeling a deep sense of partnership forming between them. The conversation turned to their hopes for the future. Isla spoke about the places she wanted to see, the experiences she longed to have, and the person she hoped to become. Tayan listened attentively, encouraging her to dream freely. He offered his support, promising to stand by her side, no matter how challenging the journey might be. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with shades of orange, pink, and purple, they stood together, hand in hand. The canyon below reflected the fading light, creating a magical scene that seemed suspended in time. Tayan looked at Isla with a mixture of admiration and tenderness. "You are brave, Isla," he said, "not just for sharing your truth, but for the way you carry yourself every day. I see your strength, your kindness, and your courage, and I want to be part of that journey with you." Isla felt a warmth spread through her chest. The words were not just comforting, they were affirming. For so long, she had feared judgment, rejection, and misunderstanding. But Tayan's response showed her that trust and honesty could create a bond stronger than fear. She realized that love, when built on understanding and respect, could be a guiding force, not a source of conflict. They decided to take a slow walk back toward the reservation, savoring the quiet of the evening. The stars began to appear, twinkling above them like tiny lights in the vast sky. They spoke little, allowing the calm and beauty of the night to fill the space between their words. In the silence, Isla felt a profound sense of peace, a feeling that she had never known before. Back at the reservation, life continued as usual, yet everything felt different. Isla approached her family with a renewed sense of purpose and calm. She knew that challenges would come, that not everyone would understand or accept the changes in her life. But the experience with Tan had given her strength and clarity. She felt ready to face obstacles, knowing that honesty and courage could guide her through even the most difficult moments. Over the next few days, Isla and Tan spent even more time together, now free from the weight of secrets. Their friendship blossomed into a deeper connection, one that was grounded in trust, understanding, and shared dreams. They explored the hills, walked along the creek, and sat for hours talking under the shade of old trees. Each day, Isla discovered more about herself, about her desires, and about the ways love could be patient, kind, and supportive. Yet, even in this newfound closeness, they knew that the path ahead would not be without challenges. Family expectations, community traditions, and the uncertainties of life loomed in the background. But the confession had created a foundation of honesty and trust that gave them the strength to face what came next. They had taken the first step toward a shared future, one built on mutual respect, understanding, and courage. Isla often reflected on the journey that had led her to this moment. She remembered the early days of longing and hesitation, the quiet fears she had carried, and the small moments of connection that had hinted at something more. She realized that love was not about immediate certainty or dramatic gestures. It was about patience, communication, and the willingness to share one's heart fully. One evening, as they sat together watching the sunset, Tan turned to her and said, "I feel like we're starting something real, Isla. Something that can last if we nurture it with honesty and care. I want to face life with you, through its joys and challenges." Isla smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and hope. "I feel the same, Tan," she replied, "and I know that with trust and patience, we can handle whatever comes our way." In that moment, beneath the wide sky and the fading light, Isla understood something essential. True connection required courage, vulnerability, and faith in one another. By revealing her secret, she had not only strengthened her bond with Tan, but she had also discovered her own strength. She had learned that love could be a guiding light, a source of support, and a force that helped her face the uncertainties of life with confidence. As the stars emerged in the night sky, shimmering above the reservation, Isla felt a quiet determination. The journey ahead would still have its challenges, but she no longer faced them alone. With Tan by her side, she felt a sense of partnership, hope, and resilience. And she knew, deep in her heart, that the courage to speak her truth had opened the door to a future full of possibilities, love, and shared dreams. The days that followed Isla's confession felt different, full of a quiet joy and anticipation that she had never experienced before. Sharing her truth with Tan had lifted a weight from her heart, and the bond between them had grown stronger than ever. Yet, she knew that life was not without its challenges. Their families, their community, and the expectations that had always shaped their paths were still present. Love, she realized, was not just about emotions. It was also about choices, responsibility, and navigating the realities of life. Isla and Tan continued to spend their days together, learning more about each other and building a partnership grounded in trust and mutual respect. They worked on small projects around their families' homes, explored hidden trails in the hills, and sat for hours talking by the creek. In these moments, everything felt simple and right. Tayan's laughter had become a familiar melody, and Isla's heart felt lighter knowing that she no longer had to hide her true self. Yet, as much as she enjoyed their time together, Isla knew that they would have to confront the opinions of others. Some members of the community were cautious, questioning whether the young pair was moving too quickly or whether their choices aligned with tradition. Isla understood their concerns. The weight of cultural expectations was never something she could ignore. But she also understood that her own happiness, her own sense of self, was equally important. She could honor her family and her culture while pursuing the life and love she desired. One afternoon, Tayan invited her to walk along the ridge overlooking the valley. The sky was painted with golden hues, and the air was filled with the scent of pine and wildflowers. They walked slowly, hand in hand, sharing thoughts and dreams for the future. Tayan spoke about his desire to continue his education and explore opportunities beyond the reservation, while Isla shared her plans to follow her heart and pursue experiences that would allow her to grow as a person. "We can face this together," Tayan said softly. "No matter what challenges come, I want to be with you, Isla. We don't have to choose between love and our dreams. We can have both if we support each other." Isla smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her chest. "I want that too," she said, "and I believe we can do it. It won't be easy, but it's worth it." Their days became a balance of joy and responsibility. They attended family gatherings, helped neighbors with daily tasks, and participated in cultural events, all while nurturing their connection. Each interaction with their community was a reminder that love did not exist in isolation. It required care, respect, and understanding of the world around them. They discovered that love could coexist with tradition, that dreams could align with family responsibilities, and that honesty could create bridges rather than walls. However, life was not without moments of doubt. There were times when Isla questioned whether they could truly have the life they desired. The pressures of school, family expectations, and societal norms sometimes felt overwhelming. But each time uncertainty crept in, Tayan was there, patient, reassuring, and steadfast. He reminded her that challenges were a part of life, and facing them together made them smaller, more manageable. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and purple, Isla and Tayan sat by the creek, reflecting on everything that had happened. They spoke of their journey, the early moments of curiosity, the nervousness of budding feelings, and the courage it took for Isla to reveal her secret. They laughed about small misunderstandings, shared their dreams for the future, and quietly acknowledged the strength it had taken to arrive at this point. "I can't believe how far we've come," Isla said, her voice gentle. "It feels like yesterday I was afraid to even speak my heart, and now here we are." Tayan nodded, squeezing her hand. "We've grown together, and it's not just about us. It's about learning to face life with honesty, courage, and trust. I wouldn't want to do this with anyone else but you." The sense of partnership gave Isla a profound sense of peace. She realized that love was not about perfection or ease. It was about commitment, understanding, and the willingness to navigate uncertainty together. Their relationship had taught her lessons she had never anticipated, about patience, vulnerability, and the strength that comes from being fully known and accepted. As weeks turned into months, the community began to notice the bond between Isla and Tayan. Some were surprised, others curious, but many came to respect the connection that was rooted in honesty and respect. Friends and family began to see that their relationship did not undermine tradition, but instead added depth and meaning to it. Isla felt proud not only of her love for Tayan, but also of the way they had navigated their journey with integrity and patience. One day, Tayan suggested they visit a place far beyond the hills, a small town where he had relatives who could show them a different perspective on life. It was a chance to experience the world outside the reservation, to see new opportunities, and to imagine a future that went beyond the familiar landscape. Isla felt a thrill of excitement mixed with a touch of nervousness. This journey was symbolic. It represented both their growing independence and the trust they had built in each other. As they prepared for the trip, Isla reflected on the growth she had experienced. She thought about the moments of doubt and fear, the days filled with uncertainty, and the courage it had taken to reveal her secret to Tan. She realized that every challenge, every hesitation, had been a stepping stone leading her to a place of clarity and strength. She felt ready to embrace the future, knowing that love and dreams could coexist, and that partnership could provide both support and freedom. During their visit, they encountered new experiences that broadened their understanding of life. They saw different cultures, engaged in conversations with people who had diverse perspectives, and discovered opportunities they had never imagined. Through it all, their bond remained steadfast. They supported each other, celebrated small victories, and faced challenges with a sense of shared responsibility. Isla felt a growing confidence in her ability to navigate life's uncertainties, and she knew that Tan felt the same. Returning to the reservation, Isla noticed the subtle changes within herself. She walked with a sense of purpose, her decisions guided by both her heart and her growing awareness of responsibility. She had learned that courage was not just about taking risks, but also about making thoughtful choices, balancing personal desires with the needs of others, and embracing the unknown with confidence. One evening, as they sat beneath the stars, Tan turned to Isla with a gentle smile. "I'm proud of us," he said. "We've come so far and we've done it together. Whatever comes next, I know we can face it." Isla felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness but from gratitude. "I'm proud too," she replied. "And I know that no matter what challenges lie ahead, we'll face them side by side. We've built something strong, and it's only going to grow from here." Their love had transformed from quiet curiosity into a deep, enduring connection. It was not a love of grand gestures or dramatic declarations, but one built on understanding, honesty, and mutual support. They had learned to navigate fear, honor their traditions, and embrace the possibilities of life beyond the familiar. Each day brought new lessons, new joys, and new ways to strengthen their bond. In the months that followed, Isla and Tan continued to grow as individuals and as a pair. They balanced their personal dreams with the responsibilities of family and community. They celebrated achievements, comforted each other through disappointments, and continued to explore the world with curiosity and courage. Their journey was not always easy, but it was rewarding, filled with moments of learning, laughter, and love that deepened with each passing day. Looking back, Isla realized how much she had changed. She had faced fears, revealed her truth, and embraced the possibilities of love and partnership. She had learned that life was not about avoiding challenges, but about meeting them with honesty, resilience, and the support of someone who truly understood her. Tan had become more than a companion. He was a partner, a confidant, and a mirror reflecting the best parts of herself. As they stood together on a quiet hilltop, watching the sun set over the valley, Isla felt a sense of completion and anticipation at the same time. She understood that their journey was ongoing, that life would continue to present challenges and opportunities. But she also knew that with trust, courage, and love, they could navigate anything that came their way. In that moment, Isla whispered softly to herself, "This is just the beginning." She felt ready for whatever the future held, confident in her identity, her dreams, and the bond she shared with Tan. Together, they would continue to face life with courage, compassion, and hope, building a story of resilience, trust, and enduring love, one that would carry them through the years to come.